There is an extensive variety of communities around the world. Today I'm going to focus on the furry fandom and the posthuman philosophy involved in it. For the ones that are not in the context, this is a fandom who have interest in anthropomorphic animal characters, but have human characteristics or personalities, like human intelligence, capability of speaking, facial expressions, welcome to feed, wear clothes, etc. These interests come from science fiction novels in the 20th century, like Kimba the White Lion, published in 1965. Furry fandom was used to define the organized appreciation and dissemination of art and prose about furries. Three important concepts to understand all of these are personas, which are furry own characters, which can be action animals, hybrids, or mystic creatures. These personas help people to introduce themselves to other ones. Fursuits are custom-made animal costumes that are based on the persona of the furry. Finally, conventions that are meetings where local and foreign furries meet to buy and sell works of art, participate in workshops, wear costumes, or simply socialize. Furry fandom has been popularized recently. This community has appeared on media representation, especially in news. Unfortunately, they have been prejudiced and singled out for criticism and controversy because of what is usually shown in news. Um, Modern cultures used to see furries as social deviants instead of another diversity, one that has a deep background and from which many people share their personalities and their definitions of themselves as a person. This stigmatization has affected identity construction of furries. Disinformation is the first problem. People used to take the first impression on information that internet and media shows, especially articles or memes that tend to show this furry community has an hypersexual community or a social deviance. Roth said in an interview that if you honestly believe that furry fandom is about costuming, then you miss the point. And that's true because saying furry fandom is about wearing fursuits, it's like saying Star Trek fandom is about wearing pointy ears. Patterson, blogger of CNN, made an investigation on the fandom, concluding that this culture is not about sex, a very common prejudice constructed from this information, like in the TV series CSI, that transmitted an episode called Fear and Loathing, in which they investigated a man dead inside a fursuit and they end up in a convention where they exaggerate situations for a more polemic view that is translated in a more audience for them. Joe Strike, author of the book named Furry Nation, explains the misunderstood fandom where the real environment of art is in art galleries, literature, performances, characterizations, and others. In an ethical perspective, furries are a very caritative community. One of the principal purposes of the convention is to raise funds for various organizations with different benefits. The most recent example, Confuror, a furry convention that took place in Guadalajara, Mexico. In this convention, furries raised almost $8,000 to the ONG Desmitificando Tiburones. But this is not just an isolated situation. AnthroCon, the most famous furry convention in the world, raised over $41,000 for 2022's charity Wildlife Works Inc. The fandom in fact has a very developed virtue ethics. Furries are not limited when it comes to helping others, not because it increases social welfare or because it is in the duty of the fandom, but because it is benevolent. The furry community is used as a polemic to attract people's attention and get more views, without taking into account that these stigmas affect the community and make it look like a large group of sex crazies and deviant people in the eyes of the people. Articles written about pedophile and zoophile furries highlight the fact that this is a furry who is behind the act, without taking into account that only a pedophile is a pedophile, and a zoophile is a zoophile. The fact that a furry is involved is irrelevant to this case, but of course a good opportunity to tell a different history than usual. Stigmas shown before used to affect the identity that furries create. Being a furry is being a person who identifies with an animal as part of their personality. This can be on a mystical or religious level, or even a psychological one. Some furries base their meanings with a personality which encompasses both animal and human traits. And this is not a new concept. Cultures around the world engage some form of animal identity like Native Americans. Posthumanism proposed the transformation of the man in addition to trying to understand who we are and what we are destined for. Furries, in fact, construct their identities in this fandom where they feel comfortable and accepted. So you see, this is deeper than you thought, and Furry is not a person who loves animals, but one who constructs its identity into a character, an animal one. So Cookie Fox is not the same as Francisco itself. In fact, the furry fandom is very diverse. The environment of the community is based on or related to anthropomorphic animals, but it not only stays there, but also involves the participation of the same community to create, interpret, play, and help not only each other but also other people or organizations outside the community, as seen in the previous examples. I think the furry fandom doesn't seem so bad after all. It is simply a community that seeks through animal interpretation a hobby where everything and everyone is welcome without judgment, trying to understand our existence and meaning.